Chapter 3-4. Slime Crown, rank, E+ headgear, a crown worn by a leader of the slimes. Funnily enough, it may look like it is made of gold, but it's actually made of copper. The red gem on the front is genuine though. Grants +5 intelligence and wisdom when worn with 300 MP, a barrier of 10% the wearer's HP can be cast. Lasts for 5 seconds before disappearing. Slimes are naturally subservient to you. Cool. That's really the only thing I can say about it. Aside from that crown, I didn't get much from my slime slaughter. Several vials of slimes, almost 100 E-rank soul stones, and that sweet, sweet, cash. I shift my head slightly to the right, trying to get the best position on my pillow for my poor aching neck. The skirmish I went on was worth it, but was tiring as hell. While I busy myself with finding the perfect resting position, I dismiss my inventory and bring up the shop panels and click on Item Shop, just to see what I can buy there. Oh boy. This place is awesome. You can buy all kinds of stuff, from A-rank swords able to split mountains, to what amounted to god-tier weapons and armor. Heck, there's even the R18 section of the store, selling all kinds of kinky stuff, and holy shit, the super crown from Mario is here as well. Shaking my head, I continue on to the skill store, and well, after seeing the first store, I'm not that shocked to see what's in here. Runecraft, Jewelcraft, an entire collection of Shirou skills, alchemy, and more magecraft styles that exist in the Nasuverse. Heck, even Gil's, Gate of Babylon, is here, although the price to buy it may as well be as much as Gil's entire treasury. The pet store, though, sure it sells pets, but it also sells those other types of pets. You know, the humanoid ones. Yeah, I'll leave that for next time. The Gacha. Oh, the Gacha. Just the memories of this accursed system from my previous life hurts, and from all the cries from the F/Go fanbase about black keys, then I fear what might pop out of this damn system. But well, let's try and do it once. Gacha, test your luck at the Gacha. Currently possible drops, 1 to 5 star CEs, price, 50.000 yen every roll. Gay. The price is 50.000 yen. Ah, whatever, I can just kill more slimes tomorrow. My resolve set, I give my prayers to the heavens above for something good, and click the Gacha roll. A rotating bulb of light appears on the panel, before the red black keys, 3 stars CE, a set of 3 black keys, enchanted with the essence of burning flames +5% to natural strength. Meanwhile, in a certain church at the edge of Fuyuki City. What a wonderful day it is today. A certain priest happily claims, a wide grin present on his face. The throes of suffering echoes in the city. I wonder who it belongs to. In another universe, a certain red-headed master suddenly drops to her knees and cries, much to the shock and confusion of her precious kohai. I feel you, my friend, the curse of the black keys continue. Ayano, senpai. Are you okay? The black keys. Ask. Yuck. Hiya. Okay, I think I got that out of my system. Well, looking on the bright side, it's still a nice 5% boost to my strength stat, so I guess that's okay. Due to the new additions, the system has added the panel, equipment. Nice. I open up my tabs, and sure enough, with the rest of the baseline options, equipment has been added. Peeved but optimistic, I open my equipment panel and push the card in my hand, which was a picture of 3 black keys glowing red, into the empty slot for my craft essence. I feel an immediate boost to my strength. It isn't much, but can't be too picky, I suppose. Headgear, slime crown, chest, none, leggings, none, boots, none, weapon, none, vanity outfit, casual sleepwear, accessories, none, craft essence, the red black keys, D rank. Also put on the slime crown, before I forget. Thankfully, the equipment I wear is invisible, so I won't have to walk around with a crown on my head, and probably get several weird looks while walking to school. I chuckle ruefully, the image of me in, I don't know, say Saber's armor casually walking to school is just a bit too surreal for my tastes. Well, enough of this for now. I'm tired. You have rested in your bed. HP, MP, and stamina fully recovered. Opening my eyes, I take a glance at the clock, and blanch at the time. 15 more minutes until school starts. Softly cursing to myself, I leap out of my bed, shower and cry myself, put on my school uniform, and make my bed in record time. I open my inventory to grab an onigiri, only to realize I'm out. More cursing and almost tripping, I leave my apartment and run, sprint, and reinforcement, aiding my speed as I rushes to school with inhumane speed. I made it to school in record time, and the dust cloud I made as I halted my run could practically be called an explosion. I'm still late though. Bummers. The day goes on uneventfully. I spend those empty hours diving through the many things on sale on the shop, just to see the potential items I might want to buy later on. School ends soon enough, and I meet up with Shirou, who just finished his maintenance on an AC that just broke down. We didn't speak much, only me reminding him to have enough rest and him nodding silently. Once home, I finish all the homework given today, which wasn't all that hard with my fairly high intelligence, then change myself to a tracksuit I find at the bottom of my pile of clothes. From then on, I spend my time in the slime dungeon, grinding my levels and earning my rewards, and maybe get some drops along the way. The same happens with the next day. Wake up, school, talk with Shirou for a bit, go back home, grind my keep in the slime dungeon. Rinse and repeat, over and over, routines repeating themselves, and before I know it, Saturday arrives. You have leveled up X7. You have reached level 10. Gained 5 stat points. Sprint has leveled up X4. ID Create has leveled up X2. ID Escape has leveled up X2. Mystic Eyes of Myriad Perception has leveled up X2. OD Manipulation has leveled up X6. Reinforcement has leveled up X4. Spinning Prana Bullet has leveled up X3. Prana Grenade has leveled up X5. Spinning Prana Rocket has leveled up X4. Prana Burst has leveled up. Prana Construct has leveled up X3. Gihen has leveled up. Morning had gone by uneventfully. I woke up, cleaned myself, got myself some casual clothes to wear for the rest of the day, and used some of my money to buy myself a breakfast at a local morning cafe. My hunger sated, I made my way to the Emiya residence, intent on fulfilling the promise I made to a certain dense redhead. And now, I find myself standing at the house's front door, and very worried. I mean, just imagine if Taiga-sensei sees me hanging around Shirou or, God forbid, Sakura. Ugh, I don't even want to imagine what kind of yandere tortures I'll suffer from that girl if she sees her beloved senpai hanging around another girl. I listen in, placing my ears on the door to better hear what's inside. I close my eyes, reinforcing my ears to better my hearing, waiting for any. Due to certain actions, you have gained the skill, Sense Presence. Sense Presence, Hearing, LV1, 0%. A magus can sense the presence of others in their surroundings, manifesting as one of the human body's 5 main senses. You can now interpret others' presence as specific sounds. Maximum range, 50 meters. Huh, cool. Anyways, after around 5 minutes of silence, I press the doorbell and wait, idly using my new skill to gain some experience on it. Then, I hear, what sounds like a hum of an engine and a sword. Yeah, a sword cutting through the air to be precise. The door slides open, and Shirou stands on the other side, his eyes widening in shock for a moment before he smiled. Good morning, Tsunaka-san. Morning, Shirou-kun. My eyes roam his body, looking for any signs of overworking. Seeing none, I sigh. Good, at least you didn't overwork yourself. Ah, right. Shirou-kun, how's your magic circuits? Any luck on them just yet? His smile dropped slightly. I've only managed to get 2 working fully. Well, that's actually not bad. For not being used for more than a decade, having 2 already usable is actually pretty decent. I pat his shoulder and smile. You'll manage the full set soon enough, so don't worry too much, Shirou-kun. Just don't turn yourself into toast or something. Ah, okay. Alright. Let's go to your backyard now, shall we? As we made our way to the backyard of the residence, I browsed through the item shop for a weapon Shirou could use as practice. Having him master his structural analysis would benefit his tracing later on down the line. In the end, a long Japanese blade belonging to a certain saber from F/GO was bought for a hefty sum of 120.000 yen. Now at the backyard, I bring out my inventory and pull out the sword I just bought, much to the boy's shock. Shirou's eyes trace over the unsheathed blade, his ingrained structural analysis, already in progress to trace the weapon's history. That's... he says in awe as I hand the blade over. He caresses the blade, trailing his finger across its sleek edge. Kojiki Kaimitsu, the sword of Okita Tsuji. He looks to her. How did you get this? That's a secret. I give him a playful wink. Now, chop chop. Analyze that sword, everything about it, everything. Now go. Be done by lunch. With those words said, Hanami disappears into his house. Shirou heaves a shaky sigh, his hands gently grasping the hilt of the legendary blade he had just been given. He can't help but wonder where she even got this sword from, and why the brunette would even dare to allow him to use it. Shirou was by no means stupid. The girl who just came into his life a week ago held many secrets. She was powerful, those prana gunshots of hers easily shattering his reinforcement if she went serious. But she is not evil. She isn't like any magus his old man taught him about. He could smell no blood or malice around her, at most he could only smell traces of fire and dried blood from the injuries she covered. He smiles as he looks over the sharp blade one more time, his eyes tracing the gleam it holds under the sunlight. I can work with this. His smile twists to a small grin as he makes his way into his shack, ready to begin. Singer's sword, rank C plus a soul manifested as a large sword, its edge glowing the color of the midnight sky. It belongs to a woman in the distant future, at a time when kings will rise once more. It's capable of slicing through most metals, and can generate a fairly powerful shield at its tip. Plus 80 strength and dexterity when wielded, plus 35 intelligence, wisdom, and luck when wielded. Price, 450.000 yen, the Sword of the Air, rank C plus a blade crafted by Dicha, the goddess of light, and given to her heir to fight against the archdemon. Its blade shines a never-ending white, ever shining with the light of the hope. Whoever wields will become its owner, given increased strength and endurance, and granted a small healing. Plus 55 strength and vitality when wielded, plus 20 intelligence, wisdom, and luck when wielded, grants plus 20% bonus to natural HP recovery, deals plus 100% more damage to undead and demonic type enemies. Price, 450.000 yen. HRMM. I grumble softly, mulling over which choice of sword I want to buy. Each sword was nice, though I'm not sure what series they come from. The first has better stats in general, while the second trades some of its power for increased healing. Choices. In the end, after many minutes of silent grumbling, I picked the second option, because, well, the 100% damage increase to undead and demonic will come in handy. I affirm my transaction, and a sword magically appears in my hands, its edge glowing a bright white and its hilt the color of light yellow and blue. I smirk, soaking in the wonderful feeling of the strength the sword radiated, the gentle heat given by its light. I grasp its hilt, only to then come to a realization and slump. I don't know how to use a sword. Ack. So annoying. And it's not like I can just analyze the sword and get its knowledge like damn Shirou over there. Oh well, at least I can still just train and get the skill normally. Actually, I might as well do it now. I can save dungeon dwelling for later, probably tonight. Yeah. Sword Mastery LV7, 11%, with constant training, you begin to gain a mastery of swords. The skill you hold over your blade will become your enemy's downfall. Grants plus 17% to natural strength and dexterity when wielding a sword, passively grants plus 4 strength and dexterity. This is so boring. Like, you'd see those training montage of swordsmen swinging their sword at an invisible enemy, cutting through the air and building their strength. I seriously wonder how they can do that for hours on end, because, seriously, I'm 2 hours in and I feel like I'm going to die of chronic boredom. Still, at least I'm moving and stuff. Shirou just sits there in his shack, the Kojiki Kaimitsu in his hands as he analyzes the blade, his internal world no doubt having already recorded the blade down to its moment of creation. Hell, I don't think he's blinking with how intense his staring is. Raff. I swing, putting more strength into the sword, creating a slash of bright light that destroyed the wall it was aiming towards. Yuch. I wince, not really expecting that to happen. Still, thankfully I was smart enough to move myself and Shirou into this empty ID, so any damage that happens to the house will disappear when we exit. Still though. I look at the sword in my hands. This blade of light is awesome. The increase to my stats are welcome enough, and the HP regen increase is nice too, but I don't think the description said that it was capable of shooting beams of light. Not to the point of, say, Excalibur or something, since that's way too OP for AB plus rank, but still. Beams of light. Nearly destroyed the Emiya residence twice because of it. Feeling a vibration in my pocket, I blink and take my phone out, the time clearly displaying it had just turned noon. I sigh, throwing my sword into my inventory before I walk over to the shack. Inside, as I expected, Shirou was still there, lines of prana running across the famous katana as he drinks in all he can from the sword, his eyes never straying from it. Until I hit him on the head. Ack! The redhead grunts, his hands freezing up and letting the katana drop onto the floor. That hurts. He turns his head towards me, my arms crossed over my chest leisurely as I pick the sword up. His eyes follow along, before dropping when it disappeared into my inventory. He grumbles lightly, his lips pursing ever so slightly. He's pouting. He's pouting. Holy shit, he looks adorable dash, Slowly, I bring back out the Kojiki Kaimitsu, and his golden eyes brighten up. I hold back a grimace as I hand the sword back over, and he caresses it, like a lover would. I think I've seen enough. And, he's rubbing it against his cheeks now. Okay, this has to stop. And no, wait. He cries out, his arms stretching out towards the disappearing edge of the sword as my inventory engulfs it whole. I nod solemnly and cast, ID, escape. I walk back to the main residence silently, definitely not hearing that pitiful cry of anguish coming from the shack. Nua, definitely didn't hear that. No. Not yet. Nope, didn't hear that. Definitely didn't hear. Hiya. A force tackles me from behind, and I tumble onto the ground, Shirou above me, his hands forcing my shoulders down onto the ground, his eyes peering into mine. What kind of position is this? Please. Give the sword back. What the hell? Where did stubborn manly hero of justice Shirou go to? What's with dash, oh oi. Why the hell are you crying? Oh god, what's happening here? Please, Tsunaka-san. He's hugging me now. Shirou, badass sword incarnate Shirou, is hugging me. His strong arms are wrapped around me, his face only inches away from mine. This has to stop. Right now. Prana gunk shot. Geho. The bullet crashes into his chest, and he soars into the air, before crashing back down several meters away from me. Slowly, I push myself up and walk to him. He's lying on the dirt, his mouth slack open and his eyes spinning. My sword, ah. His hands reach out to me one last time, before dropping down as he loses consciousness. The fuck? That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Wait, Miss Word. Wait, could it be? Did Shirou analyze the sword so much that Okita's personality got mixed up with his own? Holy hell, that's kinda messed up. And scary. And weird. I think I should get Shirou to his futon now. So, with my reinforced arms, I carry Shirou bridal style towards his room. Why bridal style? 'Cause he's the wife, duh. Are you okay now? Yes. I sigh, staring at the redhead sitting across me. His body lacked any real strength, his shoulders drooping, and his eyes were dead, staring lifelessly at the cup of tea he made. Thankfully, after his awakening he was back to normal, though he couldn't look her straight in the eye, obviously ashamed of his actions around an hour prior. He got better over time, though he was still reluctant to speak to me. Are you really okay? Yes. He shifts uncomfortably as I raise an eyebrow, obviously not convinced. Ha, stop sulking already. Slowly, he tilts his head back up to meet my eyes. His eyes widen, mouth opening to say something, before it closes. What's wrong? He lets out a long breath and shakes his head, smiling sheepishly as he rubs the back of his head. It's nothing. Sorry, I guess. I got a little too into it. Sure, a little into it. I bite back sarcastically, and he gives a rueful laugh. A comfortable silence settles between us after that, and I take a sip of the tea he prepared for us earlier. The herbal taste of green tea sure is nice in this peaceful afternoon. So, I begin, placing the now empty cup on the dining table. How was it? The sword, I mean. He shivers for a moment, a memory of the recent occurrence flashing in his mind, before he answers with a small smile. It was interesting. Interesting? In what way? He places his hand on his chin before he continues. The sword itself isn't all that special, but its history is vast. He closes his eyes in thought. I might be able to use its noble phantasm soon. What? A noble phantasm? Oh, right. A noble phantasm is the crystallization of a hero's life, their, specialty, you could say. He explains, mistaking my shock for confusion. Then, do you know what the Throne of Heroes is? His eyes stare at me curiously. Throne of Heroes? What's that? Huh, I guess it can't reach past idiot. I shake the thought away. Anyways, the Throne of Heroes is the metaphysical existence where famous figures from the past are stored. Famous people? Like Siegfried? I blink at the sudden name drop. Yeah, like him for example. Although, the Throne of Heroes doesn't recreate them faithfully. Instead, they build the recorded figures more from the perspectives of the people. Which means that people from legends can also be recorded, like Heracles. That aside, are you sure you can use Okita's noble phantasm? He nods resolutely. My body's not strong enough, but I should be able to do it after some training. Hearing that, I find myself smiling. Shirou-kun. Want to go training right now? Against you. He says slowly, shivering as he places a hand over the spot I shot him before. I shake my head and he sighs, before his eyes snap back to me. Then who am I going to train with? I smirk. Create. The boy stiffens as the room around them darkens, tears on the walls magically form, and blood begins to seep down onto the tatami mat. The smell of rotting flesh surrounds them and the sound of incoherent grumbling can be heard coming from the outside. Where? He says, his voice oddly neutral. Where is this? An instant dungeon, a personal dimension mirroring the real world. I explain, and my eyes narrow. You better keep this a secret, okay, because if you don't. He trembles and nods fervently. Hopefully he keeps his word, because if someone from the Mage Association hears that, a ceiling designation is going to be slapped onto me. Due to certain actions, you have gained the skill, Intimidation. Oi. Now, get up. Let's hunt ourselves some ghouls. I bring out our swords and hand over the Kojiki Kaimitsu to Shirou. He holds it in his hands for a moment, simply staring at it, before he grips the handle with both hands and stands up. I follow, gripping my sword with my right hand before standing up. We both slip on our respective shoes and slide the door open. Jure dash. And we're promptly greeted to a middle-aged zombie in a business suit, which I easily behead with my sword. I feel Shirou's eyes on my blade, before he snaps up front towards an approaching zombie, this one a housewife, clothed in a chef's outfit. I nudge my head forward, and he complies, dashing towards the zombie and impaling it with his sword through its head. You have killed X1 ghoul. 430 EXP gained. Wait, that was dash, before I can finish, a loud voice interrupts. We both turn towards the source, a large group of ghouls crowding the small street to our left. Shirou-kun, let me handle this. But dash. I ignore him and hold my sword horizontally, channeling my prana into the sword. It glows brightly, its radiance beginning to char the flesh of the ghouls we're closing in. They roar in pain, feeling the deadly effect of the light on their skin, and charge. I smirk, and in a single swipe, the light extends and envelopes all of the ghouls, burning their rotting flesh to ash. You have killed X23 ghouls. 9890 EXP gained. The smell of burnt flesh is, ugh. Fast. I turn to an annoyed Shirou, his lips curled to a pout as he holds his sword close. It seems Okita's personality is beginning to infect him again. Ah well, at least it makes him cute. I shake the thought away and begin walking down the road, with Shirou following me, his blade poised and ready. Sadly, nothing too interesting occurs after that display, mostly with me and Shirou wiping the town out of ghouls and assuring Shirou that these ghouls are not real people, probably. It's unnerving yet amusing to see Shirou slowly have his personality shift, until at one point where he began to infer to himself in third person. Also knowing that the real Shirou is conscious throughout this odd situation makes it all the funnier. You have killed X78 ghouls. 33.540 EXP gained. You have leveled up X2. You have reached a milestone. Gained 5 stat point. Sword Mastery, leveled up X6. Sprint, leveled up X2. Reinforcement, has leveled up. Shirou's kinda bored. Shirou says tiredly, repeatedly stabbing the ground with his katana. All around him, corpses of ghouls lay around, slowly dissolving back into the air. Hanami-chan, how does this place work anyway? He looks around with a thoughtful frown. I've never seen anything like this. That's because you've never seen any other magus in the first place. I retort as I glance over the many items I gained from both our ghoul genocides. But, well, actually, I don't really know myself. I guess, maybe it's kinda like a reality marble. Reality marble? He tilts his head, a finger on his cheek as he turns to me. It's a magecraft bordering on true magic. Essentially, it rewrites reality with the user's perception of the world. His eyes narrow. The user's perception, does that mean this is how you see the world, Hanami-chan? I smile briefly before shaking my head. As if. That's why I'm not too sure what this is as well. I see. He nods to himself. And remember, keep this to yourself, okay? I smile softly. Why yes. Shirou promises. He nods fervently. I sigh, and he lets out a breath, muttering something about a shiny scythe, and how Shirou's head's going to fall off. Intimidation has leveled up. Oi. I wasn't even trying to be scary. Finished with my loot checking, I bring my sword back out and swipe the inventory panel away. Shirou turns to me and nods, pulling his sword out of the road and following behind me as we begin to walk back to the Emiya residence. Before that appears. Ghoul culmination, test number 314 LV. HP, 57500/57500 MP, 0/0 stamina, -% the abomination created by the merging of the many vengeful souls sacrificed by a man in search of immortality. With their initial smaller bodies destroyed, they all merge back into this broken entity. A huge ghoul standing at around the height of a bus stood in their way. Its limbs are the size of trees, attached to a spherical bloated chest marked by hundreds of faces, each petrified in fear. It has no head, instead having a long tendril that stretched out from its inside, wriggling about as eyes of velvet red shines in the dark of night. I blanch at the sight, my magus sense bombarded by the screams of all the spirits trapped inside. Shirou reacted similarly, shutting his nose as tears formed at the corners of his eyes. It charges, screaming, and we both jump away, each of us delivering a strike at the passing giant. It roars, blood and smoke rising from its two arms as it turns back, its tendril-like head shaking erratically. HP, 56990/57500. Yikes. The giant ghoul turns towards us, its arms bloating and shrinking and charges. We share a nod before we jump away. Shirou leaps forward, blade held out and plunges it into the ghoul's back. It shrieks, before a burst of light from me crashes into it. Shirou pulls his sword out and slashes it across the giant's back. Before its arm suddenly swings back and hits him on the head, sending him crashing across the road. I grimace, seeing his HP drop to around a third of his maximum from that single hit. It roars, its monstrous sound causing cracks in any nearby windows, and smashes its fists into the ground. The ground cracks painfully before it explodes upwards, chunks of the road flying into the air. Hulk smash. I think idly, before another thought comes in. Should I try and learn that too? My thoughts are cut off by the sounds of battle, coming from Shirou as he dances around the giant and delivers swift strikes at its vital points. And I'd only noticed it now, but his movements are getting faster, fast enough to create sonic booms with each step he takes off the road. His magic circuits glow across his skin, straining to keep up the speed he was going at. Before he suddenly jumps back, and holds the sword in both hands, pointing it at the giant. He crouches slightly, and pulls his arm back, like a piston readying itself to fire. My eyes widen. He leaps towards the giant ghoul, and then leaps again, on air, pushing his speed beyond the sound barrier. Then, he says 3 words. Mumyu Sandenzuki. And 3 stabs were delivered in an instant. A massive hole appears on the ghoul's neck. No sounds came out of its mouth as it slowly turned back, towards the swordsman who had just heard it. Shirou lets of a tired breath, slowly wobbling as he falls to his knees, his Kojiki Kaioshin stabbed beside him. HP, 20090/57500. Oi, did he just use Okita's noble phantasm? Seriously? And it's still alive? Not wanting to be outdone by that display, I use my mystic eyes to analyze the weapon's history, to see what its noble phantasm might be. It took a bit of time, and a pounding headache, but I managed to find it. I grin, before reinforcing my legs and jumping up high into the air. Holding the sword in my hands, I pump my prana into the sword, and the blade shines, its light a light blue hue. Fate, I pull the sword back, and the light shines brighter, enough to scorch the ghoul's body from this distance. Clear my path. Reinforcing my arm, I swing with all my strength, and a beam of light crashes down onto the ghoul, before it explodes upwards in a geyser of divine light. The ghoul shrieks one last time, before it burns away to ash. You have defeated test number 314. Gained 35,000 EXP. You have leveled up. Special mini-boss has been slain. Special reward has been added to inventory. I ignore the pop-ups as I crash back down onto the ground, barely managing to reinforce my body upon contact to protect myself from becoming a red splat on the road. I let out a tired breath and place my sword back into my inventory. Nice show, Hanami-chan. My eyes focus at the incoming redhead and I laugh lightly. Thanks. He smiles and extends a hand forward. I take his hand and pull myself up, wobbling slightly from exhaustion. His smile dips slightly. Are you okay? I give him a smile. I'm fine, just tired. Silently, we both head back to his house, and there, I finally dispel the ID, letting the real world come back, before heading to sleep. Too tired to return to my apartment, I borrow one of the vacant rooms, which the house has a lot of, and serve myself to a warm futon to sleep. It was a pleasant dreamless sleep. The next day, Shirou's resident guardian/shameless smoocher comes into the Emiya residence, as she always does to get her daily breakfast, only to be greeted by a blank-faced Shirou and a laughing Hanami sitting across the table. She was not sure how to respond. Shinji's an absolute asshole. No more words are needed. He's the standard, garbage, asshole, one this world will definitely benefit for his disappearance from the mortal plane. Just seeing him berate Sakura for her failures was almost enough to make me spam a volley of prana bullets up his useless ass. Ugh, and that smug smile he has is just, ugh. Can't you just blow him up? I deadpan at the message. And get Zoken trailing on me. Yeah, no thanks. Well, can't you kill Zoken as well? What? No. Of course I can't. He's like, ancient by this point, and he has bugs all around the city anyways. I can't just go and kill him, actually, would that be so hard? I have a holy weapon, and Zoken's definitely an undead, so... It's a win-win. You get some nice EXP, and the world has one less jerk to deal with. And Sakura will be safe as well. That too. Still, it's not like I can just bust into the Matu mansion and just go and kill Zoken. The guy was damn cockroach. Not only that, his worms, which are all him, are encroaching inside the body of a certain purple-haired girl. Zoken needed to die. Shinji needed to die. But I just can't. Not yet. I'm still not strong enough. I sigh tiredly, messaging my forehead, waiting for the traffic lights to turn green. Tired? Michum. I grunt and cross the road, continuing my way to my apartment. Can't wait to drop on my bed. I smile lightly, before it falls from my face at the reminder of my chemistry homework. Another sigh leaves my lips. System falls silent, and I continue my way to my apartment complex, the afternoon wind blowing against me. It doesn't take long for me to reach my apartment room, unlock the door, drop my bag down on my desk and drop onto the bed. Have a nice sleep, Hanami-chan. A muffled groan is my reply as I close my eyes. It's strange really. By day, I'm a normal student living out my life in Hamurahara Academy, listening to lectures, answering questions, and spending my break time alone in the library. I occasionally come across Shirou, usually carrying some broken equipment or with tools in hand, and we exchange short words with each other before parting. After school passes however, I become a gamer, going into empty IDs to train and level my skills, and drop into other IDs to garner more EXP. When night comes, I become a magus, training my skills and furthering my magecraft with Shirou. His blunt tenacity makes him a great student, though his stubbornness does lead him to try and brute force a problem he doesn't understand. Like how he tried to activate his true circuits by making more nerve circuits. The idiot. That aside, it's been nearly an entire month since I first came to this world, and the results show, don't they? Name, Tsunaka Hanami. Age, 17. Sex, female, human. Class. Level, 22 EXP 2.111/200.000. HP, 7700/7700, 770 HP/hour. MP, 20.680/20.680, 1.903 MP/hour. Stamina, 82%, 35% per hour. Strength, 49, plus 15. Vitality, 35. Dexterity, 66, plus 25. Intelligence, 117, 75, plus 67, 75. Wisdom, 86, 5, plus 46, 5. Luck, 21. Stat points, 20. Money, 12.390.764 yen. Skills, Sprint LV21, 11%, ID, Create LV9, 12%, ID, Escape LV9, 12%, Reinforcement LV19, 0.3%, Mystic Eyes of Myriad Perception LV32, 0.9%, Spinning Prana Bullet LV29, 17%, OD Manipulation LV32, 21%, Prana Grenade LV16, 42%, Spinning Prana Rocket LV12, 0.6%, Prana Burst LV2, 29%, Gihen LV3, 10%, Prana Construct LV17, 0.2%, Sense Presence, Hearing, LV6, 53%, Sword Mastery LV29, 15%, Intimidation LV3, 11%. Yep. Look at them stats, BOI. Still, despite this, it still feels lacking. I'm not weak, not by a long shot, but for what I feel is to come soon, this level of strength just feels inadequate. The most obvious question would then be, will I be strong enough to combat a servant and win? Maybe against some of the weaker ones, but the old and powerful ones? I'm pretty damn sure I'd be returned to the ether if I get Enoma Elish on my face. But I don't have time. Quest, Incarnation of the Sword, Emiya Shirou, an orphan of the Fourth Holy Grail War, saved by the Magus killer, Emiya Kiritsugu. Holding to the false dream of a hero of justice, he has become a sword. In most realities, he'd be dragged into the Fifth War untrained, and survive it as a new man. He'll further train his magecraft to protect the people, and unlock his reality marble. He'll be chased by the clock tower, die branded as a criminal, and ascend to the throne of heroes. Such is his fate, but is it truly set in stone? What will your presence in this world do? What change can you bring to the incarnation of the sword? Requirements, change his fate and make him different from the countless other Shirou in the multiverse. Extra mission, grant a new power for Shirou to use aside from his reality marble. Reward, EXP, doubles all natural attributes, allows 1 race change, allows 2 class change, opens 1 more class to use. Kaleidoscope, skill book, extra reward, EXP, 2 random rank A+, EX items failure, Shirou's death, your death. A day ago, this quest popped up in the middle of math class, and I almost destroyed the school building from shock if I hadn't managed to hold back my prana. The rewards were sweet, and holy hell does that, Kaleidoscope, skill book reward make me drool in wonder. But, for this to appear now, what does that imply? It was obvious. The main plot will start. And this time, she'd be in for the ride. It makes her somewhat giddy actually. Casting aside all the nervousness from the possibility of death and being swallowed under the tainted mud, I'm about to enter a secret war of magi, conducted with 7 heroic spirits, beings from legends holding mystical powers, fighting to claim the tainted, holy grail to make a wish. Ooh, just thinking about it makes me all tingly inside. Tsunaka-san? Are you okay? I blink, snapping out my thoughts to turn towards my fellow training partner, who's staring at me worriedly. Strange. Was I spacing out or something? I'm fine. Thanks for worrying though. I flash him a grin and a thumbs up, and he smiles, before he turns back to the kitchen and continues on with his cooking. Sakura can't come this evening, and Taiga has some things to finish with her father, which leaves me and Shirou as the current occupants of the residence. Which makes this night a perfect moment to further explore Shirou's capabilities as an incarnation. He'd already shown an uncanny skill in anything related to blades, and he's even adopted the personality of Okita from using the Kojiki Kaimitsu for too long. Tonight, I want to try giving him other rank C noble phantasms to use. The items in the shop only reach up to rank C plus stuff for some reason, and even then there seems to be a limited amount of stuff the shop sells, both to improve his tracing and help develop his reality marble, and also to embarrass him further. Hoo. Ah, that also brings me to the next thing that came up. The system has fully been finalized. Gamer Ver 1.0 has been implemented. All previous stats and items have been transferred over. New changes include special, unique skills, full armor and weapon set bonuses, map and minimap, clock, inventory filters, normal, skill books no longer sold in shop, unique monster drops, special IDs are now sold in shop, optimized menus, fatal and critical hits now available. Note, further updates will be implemented if issues are discovered. Good luck, gamer. Yeah, the system just got updated. It happened right about when Shirou's quest appeared, so I didn't get too much time to check all the new stuff, but from what I've seen, it's great. Still haven't figured out what unique skills might be, but I suppose I'll find out soon enough. The special IDs in the shops are diverse, to put it lightly. Some are IDs referencing other popular media, and some other are games and worlds from certain of brandedums on the internet. I doubt I'll be visiting those anytime soon. Haven't tested the rest, but overall, it's a good update, and no, whatever I wanted to say can wait, cause Shirou's food is here. I can smell it on the way from the table. Please get off the table, Tsunaka-san. I blink, realizing I had climbed the table with my hand reaching out for the tray of food the redhead is carrying. Sorry. Far away, in the silence of the night, deep within the caves of Mount Enzo, a malformed darkness throbs. It rumbles violently, agitated. Its unshaped surface ripples, and a deep laughter echoes through the shadows. Hidden inside, a being smiles, its mouth red and deformed. In a snowy castle, where warmth is missing, a child stares out the window, her eyes red, flashing with anger and intent. In a shack at the far north of Fuyuki, a neatly clothed woman smiles at her blue-haired partner, her smile feral, just as his was. Inside an unfeeling basement, a girl with empty eyes stares into the ceiling, worms of uncounted numbers crawling in and out of her. At a tall skyscraper of white, the silent screams of children echoes in the heart of a fragile woman, as she limps away from the flame that engulfs them all. Inside a lonely manor, a girl works furiously, her desk filled with notes and dust. A red ruby attached to a pendant lies by her side. Deep inside the heart of a sword, a golden sheath gleams ever brighter. With this, the flag of the Holy Grail War has been raised. Shirou-kun? I ask worriedly, and he doesn't answer, only staring emptily into thin air. I first thought that he was lost in his thoughts or something, but that was 2 minutes ago, and now I'm really worried. Like, I don't think his eyes have the power to shift between gold, silver, and blue. I'm really contemplating on just knocking him out with a prana gunk shot, but I don't think that'll be good for the guy. Back on track. I checked with my mystic eyes, but I didn't see anything weird, though there is a faint trace of mystical energy, one that belongs to the golden sheath that currently resides inside him. Now, all I can do is examine any further changes in Shirou's prana levels, looking out for any strange anomalies that might appear. Then, everything happened. Not quite sure what happened, but the empty ID I placed ourselves in shattered, a deadly amount of prana saturated the air, brilliant auroras of green and blue stretched across the night sky, and Shirou's eyes returned gold, before a bright light filled the area. I find myself blinded, yet not at the same time, as I come to realize that the world around me has faded, and all that remains is white. Shirou, his house, the sky, they're all gone, replaced by this seemingly endless plain white. My pair of mystic eyes flare to life, my green eyes shifting to a cascade of blue and purple, as I look around. To find nothing. Nothing. Not even question marks. Before I can freak out even more, a notification pops up. Something strange has occurred. The course of fate has shifted. The future has become muddled in uncertainty. You are the cause, and the world has decided to rid of you. Quest, against fate, the world follows a determined path. Anomalies are to be rid of. It just so happens that you are one of these anomalies, a dangerous threat to the world. But you are the gamer, and you're not you if you just accept this. The world may be fighting you, fate might be a jerk against you, but like hell you'll take it staying down. Requirements: get out extra mission, find out information about reward. Extra reward. Failure, your eternal imprisonment. Wow, okay, damn. So I'm basically trapped here in infinite nothingness because I'm an anomaly in the fate timeline. Okay, yeah. I agree with my quest, that's just utter bullshit. But, then again, what am I supposed to do? I'm stuck in basically what amounts to the void, with no information on what this place might be, and I doubt most of my skills can do anything to help me escape. Heck, I can't even use ID escape. Even then, I'll do anything. And with that mindset, 20 uneventful minutes flies by. Ugh, something, just, please, happen. I say in between my stabbings, striking my sword against the floor of the void to try and quell my accumulated boredom. Sadly, it didn't help much, and I'm left to sit here, all alone. It's kind of disheartening actually, but I will not fall that easily. Another 20 minutes passes by. After seeing that the void wasn't going to be destroyed anytime soon, I just decided to maximize the time I have here by leveling up my skills. It mainly consists of me swinging my sword around with my mystic eyes of myriad perception, constantly active, both to level my skill and to detect any imperfections I might spot in my swordsmanship. Mystic eyes of myriad perception LV33, 12%, a pair of mystic eyes, capable of viewing and analyzing anything you see at a glance. This allows you to see things normal people, and even magus, cannot see. Has the combined effect of both, observe, and structural analysis, allows you to see the description of objects you glance at, allows you to analyze things you see at a glance at higher levels, capable of viewing the object's history, from its creation to present time. Using this on an object too high leveled will hurt you, allows you to see through darkness and illusions. Which then got me wondering about what that last unknown line might be. If you think about it, it can basically do anything, so what else might it have? The thought caused a downward spiral. As I trained both my mystic eyes and my swordsmanship, I got thinking, speculating about the possible answer to those question marks. At first I thought about clairvoyance, or something like it, but it didn't seem to fit, since these mystic eyes are a combination of my observe and structural analysis skills. Then I thought about farsight, or anything similar, but again, it just didn't fit with the skills that were used to make it. I moved on to something along the lines of thought acceleration, but that wasn't right either, and my eyes ain't a pair of Sharingan, sadly. My eyes are to analyze, to figure out facts. Then, it all clicks. My eyes are a composite of the skills, observe, and structural analysis, both used to find the details, facts if you will, about the object it's being used on. And why do we search for facts? To learn the truth. From your wisdom, you have realized the true meaning of your mystic eyes of myriad perception. Its description has been updated and altered. Hee hee. I guess all my gathered wisdom finally came into play here. Have to say, I'm pretty damn proud of myself. Mystic eyes of myriad perception LV33, 12%, a pair of eyes granted to those who have awakened to their connections to the root, the well of all existence. A fragment of its infinity now resides in you, manifesting as a pair of eyes, a bright swirling blue. Through it, every and all things shall be open to you, and will understand any and all existence. Allows you to see the description of objects you glance at, allows you to analyze things you see at a glance, capable of viewing the history of any object, from its creation to the present. Using this on an object too high leveled will hurt you, allows you to see through darkness and illusions. Your eyes will always perceive the truth, no matter what. Whoa, that's one cool skill description it changed to. Casting the thought aside, I've finally got my way of seeing what this place is. So, closing my eyes, I feel a spark course through my mind, the silent clap of thunder, and my eyes burst open, shifted into a swirling myriad of blue. The white around me fizzles, unable to hide itself any longer, before it seemingly shatters, like glass, falling apart into many pieces. I find myself surrounded by gray walls of stone bricks, lit dimly by a sparse row of torches hung on the walls. The way behind me is short, a dead end, while the corridor before me seems to stretch infinitely, fading into blackness, one that I can't seem to see through despite my mystic eyes being able to see through darkness. Not that I really noticed, since I'm too focused gaping at the blue panel floating in front of me. Cage of Emiya, a prison made by the will of humanity, Emiya, to imprison any and all threats that might endanger the stability and survival of mankind, be they humans, beasts, or gods. It floats in nothingness, surrounded by a void of non-existence, and guarded by legendary souls recorded in the Throne of Heroes. Anyone and anything that attempts to escape will be shut down by these guardians. Yep. That's right. I'm in a prison made by Emiya. Emiya. And I have heroic spirits as my wardens as well. Frickin' hell, I know I was expecting to meet several heroic spirits, but not this soon, damn it. Ha, oh well. After a minute of venting, slashing my sword on the annoyingly sturdy walls, I let my sword fizzle back into my inventory and begin my walk down the dim corridor, occasionally turning my head to see the dead end behind me fade into darkness as I move away. And soon enough, I find myself in a dim corridor, with darkness stretching before and behind me. I'm guessing it's supposed to be quite unnerving, but I'm a bit too occupied surfing through the store to care about that. But, well, seeing most of the cooler stuff being hidden behind huge paywalls and material requirements is quite saddening. Pretty sure some of those needed materials frop from some level 250 monster or something. Ha, such is the life of a gamer. Anyways, how long is this thing? This damned corridor seems to go on forever. I've been walking for, like, half an hour now and still nothing. And of course, the moment I thought that, the scenery around me shifts, and everything seems to flip. Stone shatters, light pierces the darkness, the torches vanish, the flames extinguish, and warmth fades, all replaced by a white void. This time, cracks run along it, like shattered glass stitched together by glue. You have entered the last stage, I don't have enough time to entertain the notification as I barely manage to tilt my head aside. 3 bullets fly right over my shoulder, and I can feel something wet flowing down my left arm. Too close. I can't help but grimly wonder on what would happen if I hadn't moved my head in time. Would my head have blown up like a prized piñata? Nope. Don't think about it. My attacker stands idly, a hand holding ready the trigger of a revolver, and another hand hovering above its smoking muzzle. He's young, dressed neatly as a cowboy, a red sash around his neck and a cowboy's hat tipped on his blonde hair. His lips are stretched to a wide smile, though it seems lifeless, frozen, like his unblinking dim blue eyes. Billy the Kid LV 35, HP, 55,000/55,000 MP. Stamina, -% a Western outlaw, charged with countless crimes under his belt. His smile is frozen, a mechanism to hide away from trouble, though many have since found it difficult to differentiate whether his smile is true or not. To that, I say only one word. Damn. I jump away, bullets whizzing right past me. My mystic eyes flare to life, and my focus sharpens. Bullets of prana form behind my back, and spinning them, I let them fly, guided by the tracking of my eyes. They easily land, tearing through his clothes, but not quite injuring him. My eyes narrow, and my mystic eyes shine brightly. Armor. A layer of carbon steel lays underneath his clothing, softening the blows from my sharpened prana bullets. Seems like Aleya knows not to treat me lightly. Should I be honored or annoyed, I wonder? Fate, clear my path. My sword appears in my hands and I swing. A crescent arc of holy light flows out and crashes onto Billy's abdomen. The armor underneath cracks and a deep gash is formed just under his chest. His smile remains unfazed as his arms snap forward, and the trigger is pulled. 3 bullets fire out simultaneously, breaking past the sound barrier. Though, slow. Such motion is trackable by my eyes, and I deploy a wall of prana before me. The bullets make impact, and the shield shatters, though enough time is given for me to move out of the way. I throw my sword forward and he parries it away with his revolver. I charge forward, forcing him to block a volley of incoming bullets with his unloaded firearm, and my right hand reaches forward, grasping around his neck. My OD flares, lines of magical energy shine along my arm, and with a squeeze, my prana invades his neck. I close my eyes. Gihen, lines of prana appear on his neck, and it lights up, before it explodes, his neck along with it. Fatal hit. His bodiless head is flung into the air and rolls along the cracked void, his eternal smile still etched on his lifeless head. You have killed Billy the Kid. Gained 27500 EXP. You have leveled up. You have gained 3x, Void's Dust, 4x, Meteor Horseshoes, Torn Red Sash, Broken Revolver. I breathe out slowly, letting the adrenaline filter through my system. I look over my notifications, wondering what these new materials might be for, but then it hit me. I just killed somebody. My breath hitches, my body spasms, as if each of the cells in my body just gave out. My knees lost its strength and I dropped down, clutching a hand over my mouth. I just killed somebody. I just killed somebody. I feel something wet on my cheeks. Am I crying perhaps? I don't know, and don't bother to know, as I slowly push myself back up, swallowing the bile that was rising in my throat, and sigh. I chant to myself, saying this will be normal soon, and I need to do this to live, and other things along those lines, but the horror stays, and the icky feeling on the palm of my hands doesn't fade. I can still feel the vibration, as the bones on his neck gave out, and the skin and muscles of his neck ruptures, splashing out in a violent geyser of blood, the icky congulated feeling of blood on my palm. I slap my cheeks, and clarity shines through for a moment, enough for to notice a red spear coming straight my way. I jump to the left, swinging a prana sword I made upwards and crashing straight against the spear's red handle. A pulse of wind forms under me as my attacker is sent into the air. No shock can be seen on his emotionless face, even as I plunge my blade into his heart, before lines stretch across his body, and he explodes. Fatal hit. You have killed Diarmuid Ua Duibni. Gained 29500 EXP. You have leveled up. You have gained 4x, Void's Dust, 2x, Arrowheads of Atonement, Shattered Red Spear, Shattered Yellow Spear. Not even a second later an arrow is launched, and it stabs right under my chest. I would have been dead if I didn't apply reinforcement quickly enough, and even then a quarter of my HP is sliced off. Gulping, I pull the black arrow out and cast it aside, moving my eyes towards my attacker. Atlanta LV 60, HP, 60,000/60,000 MP. Stamina, -% a huntress of the Argonauts. A tragic child abandoned, she grew under the blessings of Artemis, and her arrows soar high into the skies, shining and raining down upon the earth like the dawn of twilight. A difference of 40 levels, how am I supposed to live I wonder? The green-haired lioness draws her bow, her eyes narrowing minutely. A moment passes, and the string is let go, and the arrow flies. I won't be able to defend. The arrows are flying too fast, they are simply too strong for my prana to hold back. I duck right under the arrow and roll away, before breaking into a run as a rain of arrows trail behind my back. Not enough. The sharpened prana bullets I fire as I run could only cause minor damage. Not enough. Prana missiles and grenades explode around her, and she comes out unscathed. Not enough, Atlanta fires a pair of arrows into the sky, and following a glimmer of countless lights above, a rainbow of magical arrows rain down. My body is reinforced immediately, and then covered with a thin layer of prana, and shielded by a thick block of prana over me. Still, I cough violently, as arrows plunge into my body, one after another, down my chest and up my legs. Not enough. Through constant pain and grit, a flame is lit in your soul, burning brighter than the sun itself. Your body may fail, but your heart will persevere evermore. You have gained the skill, battle continuation. Everything hurt. But, for now, all I can feel is a tingling numbness, echoing like a bell in a cave. I breathe slowly, nearly choking as my blood-filled throat struggles to make way for the air I inhale, as I lower myself. I bend my knees, feeling my bones crack as the arrows dig deeper into my flesh, and I spring forward with speeds I probably would have been shocked at if I was sober. Atlanta seems shocked, even if her face broke no emotions, but she recovers quickly and parries away the prana sword in my hand with her bow. She goes on the defensive, deflecting and parrying my sword strikes with her bow, most likely attempting to get far enough to riddle my body with arrows. She draws her bow and leaps back, and I follow, thrusting my sword forwards. My attack was clearly out of range, and her arrow was primed, glistening green with energy. A wisp of a victorious smile appears on her face, before it morphs into a thin frown, as a blade of prana stabs right through her heart. She seems to have forgotten that I can manipulate prana at will, and that my sword was made of prana. Oh well, her fault. Gihen, lines of prana shines across her chest, and she manages to shoot one final arrow through my chest before my magecraft launches, and her body explodes in a wide bloody spark. Fatal hit. You have killed Atlanta. Gained 36500 EXP. You have leveled up. You have gained 6x, Void's Dust, 7x, Arrowheads of Atonement, Broken Shards of Ebony, Tattered Purple Pelt. The notifications go unnoticed by me, as I begin to pump OD into the many wounds on my body. Slowly, I altered the blood, freezing them and clogging up the holes from leaking any more HP I received from my recent level up. You have gained the skill, Alteration. Huh, I'm surprised I haven't gotten that yet. Meh, better late than never. That aside, now that I'm conscious, mostly, this is quite bad. Nay, even saying bad is a huge understatement. I'm surviving on a slither of health, my MP's under 10%, my usage of battle continuation not helping, I'm trapped with no way out, and I'm pretty damn sure Hercule will sooner or later appear and whoop my ass. This truly is the darkest timeline. Ngrera ahhhh. A metallic roar sounds from the distance, coming from a knight suited in black armor, wisps of darkness swirling around him. Ominous red lines stretch across its body, extending down and out across his blackened sword. The visor of its helmet glowed a bright red, glinting menacingly. Lancelot LV 85, HP, 62500/62500 MP. Stamina, -% a knight of the Round Table, whose guilt and anger upon betraying his lord had transformed him, morphed him into a being past reason. His maddened gaze forever shines in the dark, and his mind is reduced to that of a beast. Despite that, its skill from when it was a knight has not lessened, for it waits for the judgment his king will surely rain upon him. To that, I only have one word. Fuck. It leaps forward, charging at speeds far surpassing the sonic barrier. In less than a second, the distance between us is closed, and his sword is swung upwards, fully aimed and intent to slice my neck apart. So fast. I had only a moment to appreciate such high speeds before I feel the blackened blade reach my neck. Ah, damn it. I close my eyes, resigned and accepting. The last thing I noticed is the warmth of my blood before my consciousness fades. Pst. PSSST. Hello. Anyone still there? Is this soul still inhabited? Mwah, so she really is dead? Huh, I guess this was how it's supposed to go. I don't quite remember. Meh, alright then, heavens feel. Huh. Where is? Hello again, Hanami-chan. Just died, huh? S-system. How am I? Aren't I supposed to be dead dash? Ah, is this heaven then? Or hell? Nah, nothing so happy or glum. This is the void, or the root, or Akasha, or whatever. Since, you know, souls that just died return dash. The root. Yuch. Don't scream. Do I even have a mouth for that? Nope, but your thoughts still hurt, so keep it down. Sorry. Anyways, as I was saying, all souls that just died return to the root, yeah? You should have gone and melded back with the root, but, well, I don't think any of us wants that outcome, no? Would be a pretty short and boring ending for a gamer. Well, yeah, but I'm dead. Game over, you know. How am I supposed to go back there anyways? Unless you can bring me back to life and stuff. Well. Wait, seriously? It's possible. I brought you into fate after your first death, so why not again? It's not like the third magic has finite uses or something. Ah, so that's how I got reincarnated here. So, how about it? Fancy having a continue? Ha. The answer's obvious. You'll be facing Lancelot after this, you know? Crap, forgot about him. Mind doing something about the guy? I'll try my best, but I'll be fighting off Aleya, so it might take a while, but definitely possible. Sweet. Will my health and magic go back to full too? Yep. Now, wait a second, let me get your warp drive ready, and, done. Alright, then, good luck, Hanami-chan. And don't die again. I can only bring your soul back so many times. A light numbness overtakes my soul, and my consciousness wanes. The enemy falls onto the ground, head not quite severed, but barely hanging onto the sliced neck. Blood trails out in waves, painting the void around her a deep crimson red. Lancelot silently stares, emotionless and thoughtless, waiting for any further moves its master will issue. And so it waits. Minutes pass by, and no movement is made. Aleya deems to potential magician dead, and begins to warp this fragment of Lancelot back into the throne of heroes. Until, suddenly, the girl wasn't quite dead. His transportation stops, and he regains corporeal form. He watches as the girl rises, arms lanky and without strength, yet still rising, like a puppet reattached to its strings. Her eyes, before dull green, now shines a bright green as life surges back into the body. She gasps, and then coughs, loud and pained at first, but as the many injuries she suffered glowed green and healed, her coughs turn to small chuckles. With one final sigh, the glow vanishes and Tsunaka Hanami stands, uninjured. Ha, that was cool. She says, swinging and twirling her arms around. Her eyes flicker for a moment, before a smirk makes its way onto her, and she huffs in amusement. 5 minutes, huh? She seemed to want to continue, but she swiftly places a hand over her mouth, before then muttering something about not wanting to jinx herself. Well, I'll deal with it. Those words seem to be her incantation, as she swiftly bursts forward. I charge forward, a prana sword held tightly in my hands. Lancelot growls and swings his sword. Our two swords meet, and my prana construct easily shatters upon impact, but I ducked under the swing and continue forward. With one final burst of prana, I leap forward, grasping the hilt of the sword of the air, and turning, skidding across the ground to a stop. I hold my sword straight towards the berserker, feeling more confident with the increase of stats the weapon gave. Ah, how I love how equipments work in this gamer system. We both charge, and our blades clash once again, this time mine holding out against his. We remain locked for a moment, his strength as a berserker battling against my equipment-boosted strength, before his blade starts to slowly inch towards me, and my arms and legs start to buckle from all the strength in his sword. He wins our contest and he drives his sword down, stabbing my sword into the white void. I swiftly jump back to avoid a swing, though I made sure to yank the rope of prana I tied around my sword, flinging it back into my grasp, not letting this thing go anytime soon. The battle falls into a lull for a moment, with Lancelot just standing there, staring at me. It gives me a moment to think though. I'm clearly outmatched here. His strength is higher, and he being a berserker doesn't help weaken said strength. His armor is powerful and I doubt even my sword's holy blast can take it apart. Worst of all, his life as a knight has clearly granted him some skills, and even as a berserker he refuses to let go of that. How the hell am I supposed to last 2 minutes fighting this guy? I snap out of my thoughts just fast enough to block an incoming sword strike, my sword screeching as his sword slid down mine, before he broke away and strikes from above. I hold my sword above to block it, and I manage to do so painfully, feeling my body ache in agony as the impact coursed through my muscles. Tilting my hand, I let Lancelot's blade slide harmlessly off my sword and jump up, filling my sword with prana and swinging down a blast of holy energy. Lancelot stands and tanks the hit, taking only mild damage from my attack. He roars and jumps to me, his sword meeting mine, before taking the chance to kick me down. I land with a back roll and jump back again to avoid his downward stab. Getting up on my 2 feet, my hand swiftly moves my sword to block and parry the flurry of incoming blows, aching and surely tearing my muscles had I not reinforced them. MP 9.695/17.860. But I won't last forever like this. Suddenly, Lancelot steps forward, knocking his knee against my leg and knocking me down, before delivering a dangerous blow to my chest. It would have been fatal had I not reinforced my body and twisted it enough to miss my heart, but holy hell does it hurt. With a shout, and release a burst of holy energy onto him and knock him up, before creating a spinning sphere of prana sniper bullets around the berserker. With a deep breath, I willed the bullets to move, sending them crashing against his armor and slowly chipping away his HP. Hang on a little more, Hanami-chan. 30 more seconds till warp shift. It's only a stopgap however, as he lands back down after the hail fire with only around 5000 HP missing. He charges forward, and I jump up. He stops and follows me up, and I leap off a platform of prana I make under my feet and dive back down. I land with a roll and jump to my left to avoid the sword he threw, then ducking and rolling away from Lancelot's punch. It became a game of cat and mouse after that, with me jumping and leaping across the void with the berserker hot on my trail, scoring some dangerous hits with his superior speed and strength. But warp's ready. Hold on tight. My salvation arrives, and even as Lancelot delivers a powerful kick to my waist, I can't help but laugh as I'm sent flying away, crashing and drifting across the invisible floor. My body begins to fade away, turning into motes of blue light. Lancelot roars and charges to attack, but by the time he reaches his destination, I'm already gone. Gah! And of course, the moment I'm back in my body, I just crashed into the side of a stone wall, before finally, and painfully, sliding down and leaving behind a trail of blood. Now, first off, ouch, that hurt. Second, isn't this the stone corridors from before? Yep. I had a retort readied, but the corridors suddenly shake and bits of stone begin crumbling and falling down. The flames on the torches flickers weakly before extinguishing, leaving me in darkness. Oh, Alei is pissed. Better be quick and follow the light, Hanami-chan. She's gonna start collapsing the entire place. What? System disappears, before a bright line appears across the dark and crumbling corridor. Deciding that I didn't want to die, I quickly break into a run, following the glowing line along the endless hallway. Unlike last time however, the dark hallway isn't so endless. I can see a bright light shining at the end. Raraag. But of course, that metallic screech just sounded, which means that Lancelot's hot on my tail, again. Frickin' hell. Give up, dude. Sprint, activates, reinforcement, is applied on my legs, and I burst forward. Faster and faster I run. Closer and closer the end of the tunnel comes. And, of course, the louder and louder Lancelot screams behind me. My magical hearing senses tingle, meaning that he's close. Just how fast is that guy? But I'm barely a meter away from the end of the tunnel now. And then, a black sword is impaled through my right leg, and pain bursts through my nerves. But, no matter, as I trip on my run and fly forward, right into the light. Lancelot's metallic screams grow distant as I sink into the light. A fuzzy warmth courses around me, wrapping around me like a blanket in the midnight cold. I sigh contently. Before having my face planted right on the dirt, in the middle of the backyard of the Emiya estate. I pull my face out with a gasp, swiftly brushing away any traces of dirt on my face with disgust and looking around, seeing it just like it had been before I got sucked into Aleya's prison. Well, without Shirou, that is. Ah, don't worry, Hanami-chan. Shirou's out cold right now, so I warped him to the futon in his room. He'll be fully awake tomorrow, so no need to worry. I see, well, thanks. Hehe, no probs. Now, I guess I'll rest for a bit. See you later, Hanami-chan. Fa. With system gone, I release a tired sigh and attempt to move back to the house, before remembering that my leg is still bleeding and stuff. My pants are all soaked. I quickly buy a couple rolls of bandages, using up a good 1,000 yen, and stifling a pained groan, I wrap them around my injured leg and chest. There's also a bunch of bruises around my body, courtesy of Lancelot's painful punches and kicks, but they'll heal with a good sleep, so I let them be. Quest, Against Fate, has been completed. Main mission has been accomplished. You have gained, Voltaic Charge, Skill Book, Natural Body, Skill Book, Blade of Anarchy. You have gained access to the Tool Station. Can be accessed through ID, Create. Extra mission has been accomplished. You have gained Reaver Helm, Reaver Scale Mail, Reaver Greaves, Reaver Boots. You have gained access to the Reeve Jungles. Can be accessed through ID, Create. No EXP from the quest then. Whatever. These new items look cool though, and those new IDs look interesting, but I'll check them out later. My HP and MP's low, my stamina's under a quarter of its maximum, and I'll probably faint the moment I hit the futon. So, while enduring the pain, I make my way to the room Shirou's prepared for me, and promptly fall face first onto my futon. I sigh, feeling the warmth of the futon sink into me, and before long I fall asleep. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.